Good morning. I guess good afternoon. It is 5:17, the afternoon of April 17th. So, lots going on in here in New York. This is, I guess, day 14. This is my 14th shift I'm getting ready to go on here. And the struggle in New York is real, but it changes all the time. The focus of the struggle is different pretty much every day. So when we first got here, the system in New York was so overwhelmed. The things that we were seeing. I mean, at this point, it's even kind of hard to think back and just kind of consider how bad things were here. Things are much better now. A lot of that has to do with the fact that we have sufficient people on the ground. Sorry, nose is running a little bit as I'm waking up. I don't think I have the Rona, so nothing to be super worried about there yet. But, you know, every time we have a sniffle, a cough, an ache, pain, it's amazing. We're all like, I don't know. Let me check my temperature. Let me see what my O2 sat is. But yeah, so we're always kind of hyper vigilant on that. But I digress. So yeah, we've got plenty of bodies here now, and we're getting people in the right places, and that helps. So what all to talk about today? Yesterday was rough for a number of reasons. Life doesn't stop in the middle of a pandemic. You know, we still got all the other shit that we deal with. I unfortunately get caught in the middle of internet shit posting way more often than I should. You know, and I'm trying to pay attention to some of these issues. And yesterday morning, saw a post from, you know, a person who is super intelligent, super with it, worldly, wise, interesting, and they were taking the position that the state of New York, the city of New York, were actively manipulating COVID deaths for nefarious purposes, and it hurt my head. So I can understand the political world that we live in and the way that things work. It's not uncommon for wildly stupid shit to happen. At the same time, we're right here at the junction of public health and politics. And yeah, I'm right out here, you know, in the emergency room, and I'm talking to the people who are, you know, right at the very tip of the spear on this. And we don't finish a code and sit around and have a nice big discussion about how to present this person's life and their passing in the most politically expeditious way possible. We don't do it. It's not done. I've not seen it. Every last case I have seen has been thoughtful, professional, and offered dignity to the lives of these people that we're serving. And you know, there's also the issue of, you know, EMS and the people that are dying at home. You know, there's reports of literally hundreds of people a day that EMS is running on, and they are coding, or they have coded, or they've been found down or dead. And how are those deaths being counted? So yeah, I mean, there's a thought there that is worthy of discussion to a degree. But for all of the folks who are sitting at home who are viewing this through the lens of the news and your average daily life, you do not understand how pervasive and nasty this fucking virus is. We are talking about whole hospitals, large ones, big hospitals, where they have converted every bed, every room, their pediatrics units, their OB units, their psychiatric units to bed after bed after bed, all dealing with people with COVID, with terrible respiratory symptoms, who are fighting for their lives. This is not something that people are just dying with. It's because that people are dying from it. People are like, well, gee, how do you know if this person who smokes 14 packs of cigarettes a day, drinks 3 bottles of liquor, snorts Pez, and gargles bleach, how do you know that that was COVID that killed him? Well, guess what? If they've lived 75 years and they've been able to do all that, and then now suddenly they're dead because they had COVID, it probably wasn't the bleach, the Pez, and the booze that got them. It was probably the fact that the COVID on top of that was just way too damn much. Surprise. The things that we're seeing in these patients, it's hard to wrap your head around. I've been doing emergency medicine now for damn near 20 years. And the lab values and the things that we're seeing and the things that this is doing to people's bodies, it's remarkable and disgusting and sad and scary. And we're seeing combinations of, clotting issues, aspects of like diabetic ketoacidosis, lung infection, sepsis. It's this really bizarre storm of nasty shit, any one of which can kill you, and put together it's hard. It's why people are just falling over dead. I guess to kind of illustrate this, I don't want to talk too much about individual issues, but I had a patient very recently, same age as me, had some similar health issues to me. And they were sick on a Monday and reported that they had, some weakness, some dizziness. Just didn't feel good. After about a day and a half, 2 days of that, progressed to a cough and some shortness of breath. And then the shortness of breath got worse. And then they started having some GI symptoms, and they started really feeling bad. And after 4 days of symptoms, they present to the ER. And I talked to them, and they give me their whole story. They say, well, this is when this started, and this is what I've been going through. They were working a little bit to breathe, but pretty much everybody we're seeing with this is working a little bit to breathe. They were on a non-rebreather. Pretty much everybody with this is on a non-rebreather. We have to throw that much oxygen at them. It's pretty rare that we use non-rebreathers in our regular daily lives. We're using non-rebreathers now like we use nasal cannulas normally. On top of that, we're putting nasal cannulas on people. We're cranking that up as high as we can go. Then we put a non-rebreather on top of that, and we crank that up as high as it goes, because we're just trying to force as much oxygen into these people's bodies as we can possibly get in there, just to keep oxygen saturations at maybe almost a level that we would consider okay on a normal, average, everyday basis. But this person was doing a little bit better than that. So they were having a O2 saturation in the mid-90s, which is good. That's solid, right? They're working a little bit, but they look okay. They're talking in full sentences. A lot of the things that we look for stability were all there. And I walk away to go grab a couple of things. I used the restroom real quick. I was, away from bedside for, 7 minutes, 10 minutes, not long. And then when I walk back around the corner, the room is flooded because that person has went into full arrest, and we worked them for a long time because of the way they presented, and because we felt that they were young and had a shot, and they did not do well. They didn't make it. 4 days from onset of symptoms to no longer with us. So young, relatively healthy, vibrant person who has a whole life. They're, as we did, after, postmortem care, we find all their personal effects are sitting on their cell phone. All the things you do when you go to the hospital, you sit your cell phone down under your hip, and you have all your stuff arranged, and so that's where this thing's at, and it's killing younger, healthier people. So what about opening up the economy, opening back up, on this pleasant note about how fast this can kill young, healthy people. I want to open up. I want people to be able to get back to what they want to do. But we shouldn't be stupid. One of the great things about shutting down, and we've been shut down for a while now, is that it flattens the curve. It gives us in healthcare the ability to hopefully take care of people in a way that we're not overwhelmed. Please consider that right now that New York is no longer burning, because there's people like me from all across America, people from California, people from down south, people from the Midwest, who have come here to help. Literally thousands and thousands of people. I think there's like 4,000 or 5,000 nurses, respiratory therapists, nurse practitioners, physician's assistants who are here. And we're good now, right? So, but it took 4,000 people to balance it out to where we need to be. What happens if every place catches fire at the same time? Where does that capability come from? It doesn't. There is no capability. The system's overwhelmed, and terrible things happen that I guess I could describe, and people by and large would not be able to wrap your head around, and because it's just a foreign thing to you. It's like describing the color blue. I could tell you about it, but until you get to see it up close and personal, because either you or somebody you love is in that hospital and in that situation, you won't appreciate it. And I don't want you to have to appreciate it. I don't want you to have to understand how helpless the system will be if that's where we end up. So what do we need to be able to open up and have that? We need a lot of things. We need to have sufficient people, which we have if we keep the curve flat. We need to have sufficient equipment. Tell me, how many of you guys have went out to try to find N95 masks recently, or even just regular surgical masks? How many of you have tried to find a half-face or a full-face respirator? I am betting it's a good number of you, because I'm getting people dropping me notes all the time saying, hey, help me find this, or hey, where do you get this? And it's not out there. So right now, if during a shutdown, when we have things pretty much under control at this level, and we don't have the equipment that we need, and we don't have the gear we need, we don't have the protective equipment that we need, and suddenly that demand doubles, or triples, or quadruples, or worse, where do we get the equipment we need? Where's it at? Is it out there? Is it coming? I don't see it. How confident are you that we're going to be able to meet those needs? We've had this period of time where we're said, oh, we're going to ramp up all this production. We're going to be able to see all of this stuff coming online. We're going to meet these needs. Ain't shit happened. The results are not there. Scoreboard has a big effing 0 on it. So if you're out there beating the drum saying, we're going to open up, we're going to do this, we're going to park our cars in front of an airport, and we're going to shut you fuckers down. Damn you politicians trying to push us around. You better think. You better think long and hard. You better engage your brain and take accounting of some of the shit that is going to happen when we open back up. Because after you do it, there's no take backsies. There's no, oh, oops, so, yeah, well, what do we... No, because this shit takes weeks to see the results. And after you see what's happening, it's too fucking late. The train is barreling down the tracks, and it is about to smack you at speed. So have a plan. Let health professionals figure this shit out. And if you want to throw a fit, and if you want to throw a tantrum, and you want to raise your hands up, start talking to the people who are responsible for making this equipment, making this gear, and make sure that we have what we need. Make sure that your health systems have plans in place to deal with these issues. This is a foreseeable, absolutely real event that is in process. This is a slow motion car crash. And so we're lucky enough to know that we're in a slow motion car crash. So we have the ability to act on these things. And if you are saying, well, look, nothing's happening, you're right, because the things that health professionals are doing are working. They're working, and we're not seeing these huge blooms other places. The blooms where they're at, we're able to work on them and affect change on them and protect people and look after people. And that's all going to stop again if we can't pay the right amount of attention to the right places. And that's where that's at. We're 16, almost 17 minutes into this shit. I wanted this to be quick. This is a shit show. I'm tired. I'm broke down. I'm just, it's emotionally overwhelming trying to deal with all this shit and being away from, my sons that I love so much. But I think I'm in the right place. I think I'm where I'm supposed to be. So, getting ready to go out for day 14. We'll see how it goes. Lucky to be with a good bunch of people. So hopefully things keep going well. Hopefully things get better. Please keep being good to each other. Do what you can. Have productive conversations with other people about this. And do what you can. So take care. Bless y'all. And I guess we'll see you here pretty soon. So bye, everybody.